with Calura Permanent, this is what I call your one-stop hair color line. One tube of color does it all. You just switch up the developer and make it into a demi. I think that's great, especially if you're in a booth rent world where you don't, have a lot of storage. You don't have a line for like 50 million colors. This would be ideal. You're gonna have a lot of shine from this. It is opaque, but I kind of hate the word opaque because it makes it sound like it's going to be flat and matte, right? But you're going to get the coverage, but you have high shine as well with this. Now, what makes Calura so unique, we are ammonia-free and PPD-free and gluten-free, so we're free of all the bad stuff. So since we removed the ammonia, we need something to open up the cuticle, right? And what we have in this color is a patented technology called exothermic. Are you all familiar with that term, exothermic?
No.
No? Okay. With that, well, some people who used perms back in the day, there's exothermic technology in perms. Now, this is not the same exothermic technology that are in perms, but how it works is, when you mix a tube of our color with one of our developers, it causes a chemical reaction that increases in temperature that gently opens up the cuticle. So my little analogy is, say with ammonia, and ammonia is not a bad thing. It's been in hair color technology for over 100 years. But what happens is sometimes it can swell open the cuticle more than it needs to be. Whereas this, you know how we have smart cars, smartphones? Well, now we have a smart hair color line. And what this is going to do is, based on the level that you're using and the developer that you're using, when you mix two of them together, it causes a chemical reaction that increases in temperature, okay? Now that increase in temperature is between 7 and 19 degrees Fahrenheit, but it works with our body temperature. So have you all ever applied hair color and your salon guest is like, whoo, that's too cold? They're not going to feel that with Calura. So depending on the color that you use and the level, some people might not feel anything at all, while others feel that it's warm and pleasant on their scalp, right? So I'm like, yay, but it will never feel hot. They're not going to be like, oh my goodness, what's, on my scalp? I need, this to get off. But some tips and tricks I want to share with you. Now, is this the temperature that it's for your salon? Is it about this?
72. All day.
Love that. Okay, so I'm 72 all year round, even in the winter time. So that's like the perfect temperature. I know, especially down in the South, and you all have, it's like, I should say like spring and summer all year round for the most part. Some salons are on the chilly side. So a couple tips and tricks. First things first, I would love you all to dispense the color and developer and not stir it until you get to your station and you're about to apply it. The reason being is, as soon as you stir it, within that first 10 to 15 minutes, that's when the exothermic starts to really start to work, right? It starts to open up the cuticle. At about that 35-minute mark, it's done with the temperature increase and kind of just plateaus, right? So real life situation, if we have a back room where we're mixing up color, we start chatting with our coworkers and 5 or 10 minutes goes by. We go out to our salon guests, maybe they're on the phone or we start chatting it up with them, another 5 or 10 minutes goes by. So that only allows you X amount of time to apply. And, so it's just best dispense and not stir. And in case you have a salon guest that has, a ponytail this thick, massive hair, I would always mix up a second batch, just dispense and not stir until you're about to use it. So that way you don't have to worry about your white hair coverage. And ladies, just to let you all know, anytime you hear me say white, that's my fancy term for gray. We're fancy at Oligo, so we don't say gray, we say white.
Because it really is white.
It really is white, yes. So with that being said, you could pay, if it does get a little bit chillier, if there's an air vent or fan above your station, you could put a plastic cap on them, or some people take perm and wrap papers and put that around the hairline. Or you can warm up a dryer or the lamps and turn it off. Just make sure no heat with Calura Permanent because it's self-heating. You don't want to put too much heat because you might not get your results that you need. Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. All right. Now, if you're going to refresh mid-lengths and ends or color balance with Calura Permanent, always mix up a fresh batch. okay? I don't know about you all, but I came from a salon that the salon owner's like, you do not waste hair color, so you better believe whatever we put on the new growth, if there was a little bit left, even if it's just like a smidge, you're putting that on the mid-lengths and ends. But if you did that with Calura Permanent, let's just say we did white coverage, color retouch, we applied that, started our timer for 45 minutes, and then we're gonna pull through the last, maybe 30 or, 20 minutes. Well, maybe those color molecules have fully developed in the bowl, and you might, depending on hair characteristics, it could come out in X amount of shampoos, right? So best practice, mix up a fresh batch for the mids and ends.
Would you mix it up with the same volume, or would you drop the volume?
It's all about preference. So that's a great question though. You may want to adjust your formula. If you're covering white hair, and if you're intermixing a white hair coverage series with what we call a fashion series, so just to let you all know, we call shades that don't cover white hair fashion shades. So I know in other lines, fashion shades can mean like vivid shades or like the fantasy colors, but so if you're intermixing a fashion shade with a white hair coverage series, for the mids and ends, all you need to do is mix up a fashion shade, because we're not covering white hair unless they have white hair on their ends, right? Now, to answer your question about which developer, we have 2 developers that will make Calura Permanent into a demi. So we have the Demi Effect Lotion, that's the big D. It has a big D on it, and it's an 8.5 volume. And it has a thinner consistency, so if you all prefer to apply hair color with a bottle, it's thin enough to come out of a bottle application, or you can use a bowl and brush. We also make a 10 volume, but keep in mind 10 volume on finer hair could give you a little bit of lifting and shifting.
I normally formulate a gloss formula, and I never put permanent color on anything but new growth. So I've been matching, like I have both of the books, so I've been like picking the formulas, like Alicia and I are formulating before our clients get here, a root and a gloss formula. But we haven't played with the demi much, but that's of interest to me. Instead of trying to formulate that, I can just do the same exact thing with demi.
Absolutely, absolutely. You could also, I'm going to blow your all's mind with this, because I know it's a big, in other color brands, we're like, don't put, anything higher than a 10 volume on the mid-lengths and ends. But we have a 20 volume that could be used for a multitude of things, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But one way to utilize it is tone on tone deposit or going darker. And you can actually use this to color balance or refresh your mid-lengths and ends. And that's what I do for mine. Now you all, I'm boring, I never change my hair color, but I'm one of those crazies. If there's warmth in my hair, or if you tell me there's warmth in my hair, that's a dagger in my heart. So I could go 4 to 6 months without refreshing my mids and ends because I use 20 volume. And I don't do a lot to my hair anyway, so that's why the longevity of this line is phenomenal. But one thing I want to show you all, this is pretty cool. In our shade selector, we have red and black dots. So these right here, the red dots stand for Calura Gloss, and I'll put this in rich. There we go. The black dots stand for Calura 10. So if you see a red or black dot next to the swatch, that means that that level and series is also available in Calura Gloss and Calura 10. So that way, if you want the corresponding shade, you have it. Now, to go back to what you said, that you like to do a permanent on the new growth and a demi on the mids and ends, you can still do that with gloss. Just keep in mind that gloss is more sheer, right? This one's going to give you a little bit more richness, but you're still going to have the same result. It's not going to be that much lighter on your mid-lengths and ends. So you have options though. So if you were out of gloss, you can use this.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
We've been using that a lot with clear also.
Oh yes, clear is awesome.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, when we get to the clear section, I will tell you all kinds of tips and tricks, and it applies for Calura Gloss as well, because Calura Gloss makes its own clear. Unfortunately, Calura Permanent and Calura Gloss Clear, they're not compatible, because different technologies, and Calura Permanent's a cream and Calura Gloss is a liquid. Another thing about our shade selector. Oh, yes, ma'am.
Real quick. I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. Did you say you use 20 volume on your ends and you don't have to refresh for how long?
4 to 6 months.
That's how long. So like
That's
your
it.
hair looks very even right now.
Yes.
It's very pretty. So how often are you shampooing each week?
I shampoo like in the wintertime about once a week, in the summer twice a week.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
It's lasted that long.
So with other lines that I've used in the past, I would literally have to refresh either every time or every other time because I do brown out and red out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
So-
your formula?
Okay, so new growth, because unfortunately I've got, the more I color my hair, I think I'm almost at the 50% mark. So I have the white hair. You can probably see some of them popping through right now. So I do half one neutral, half 1A on my new growth, and then on my mids and ends just do the 1A with 20 volume.
One?
So you
Yeah.
I would never
basically
guess
can,
that. Not
you
doing
basically
this.
can
Would you
equalize
guess that?
with the same level
I
of
was
the
in
formula all
3 or
over
4
from
now.
the, yeah, through the ends.
Oh yeah, so I do, on my new growth, I do half one neutral and half 1A, and then on my mid-lengths and ends, I just do 1A,
The A.
because I don't need to cover the gray, so.
I got 3 looking that dark. I think 3 is that dark. 1 would
Yeah.
scare me to death.
Really?
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't even buy one.
Really? I think
Yeah.
our level 1
I have
doesn't
never
look
used
as harsh. So, because I've had a lot of people tell me that they're like, you're level 1, and I was like, yeah. It might be my eyebrows too. How I pencil them in, because I do make them like a darker brown. But with that being said, I don't think that this looks flat and matte. You still have a lot of shine to it. It doesn't look like shoe polish on the hair, right? Because sometimes
Yeah.
level 1s, they can be tricky. Another thing too about this shade selector, no matter what hair color line you're coming from, what I love, and everyone loves this, on each page, it will tell you the base breakdown of how many blues, reds, yellows. We'll do that right in there. And another thing I think all of you will love is we have 7 series that cover 100% white hair. Most hair color lines out there, you're limited to a neutral or an intense neutral or a double N series. So if you see this little white dot right here that says 100%, that means that that series will cover 100% white hair by itself. And you can intermix it with a fashion shade. Another thing I want to show you too, let's see here. This right here, this means that that will cover up to 25% white hair. So the little circle with like a pie, I call it the pie, will cover up to 25% white hair by itself. And then if it's blank, like this one, nothing at all, that means that's a fashion shade and it doesn't cover white hair. So if they have at least 25 to 100%, we need to intermix one of our white hair coverage series to it. Sound good? All right, now with Calura Permanent and Gloss and Calura 10, we have what's called a dual coating system. So we have both numbers and letters. And I wish all hair color lines were created equal. I wish whatever we used in our previous line would convert over to oligo, right? The numbers and letters would be the same. We don't live in a perfect world. So I'm going to take this time, we're going to take a little tour of the swatch book, and I'm going to tell you what the numbers and letters mean. And along the way, if you all don't mind, I'll share some formulations. Does that sound good? All right, friends. Well, starting off is our neutrals, and I'm going to also throw in our intense neutrals. Both of these are white hair coverage series, and they're what I call the Goldilocks of neutrals. Not too warm, not too cool, just right. And the neutral series lives in the center of the color wheel, okay? Now, our intense neutrals also has all 3 primaries of blue, red, and yellow, but it has a darker blue pigment. So anyone who has coarse and resistant white hair, this is what you're going to want to use. This is going to be equivalent to a double 0 series or a double N series, depending on what color line you've come from. Now, I feel that our intense neutral, since it does have that darker blue pigment, depending on the color line that you've come from, you may want to go up a level, right? When it comes to, I'm going to say your darker levels 3 through 5, you're good, but once you get up to a level 6 and higher, use your eye for judgment, because it might be, we just might need to adjust, and that would be in any color line if you're dealing with like a double N series, because it has more pigment, right? Or darker pigment to it. All right, now we have, this is a little bit, can I put this back in order real quick? All right, just because, oh, okay, let's see here. This
was
will
us on
help.
Friday. We were getting out of here and just put the book back
Did you
together.
change it for a reason, or you just mixed it?
No, we just put the book back together
Oh,
really
okay.
quick and didn't.
No worries at all.
No charge for that.
No charge for that. That's right, I will put it back for free. All right, now our next one, and I'm about to bust out a formula, our 1 or A, and for my Redken peeps, this is gonna be important for you. Our A stands for ash. And our ash is 100% blue. So what sets us apart from other hair color lines out there is that we don't have brown or tan backing in it. And you all, this is going to be important, especially when it comes to shades versus gloss, because of that brown and tan backing behind it. But I think what you all are going to notice is that your formulas are going to be more on point because it's not going to brown. If you're working with ash series, have you all ever, the day that you've done an ash, it looks amazing, and when they come back, and especially with you all being in Florida too, because there's a lot of outdoor activity going on all year round, do you ever feel that they're a brassy mess when they come back? So if you feel that way with other brands, you're not going to feel that with this. This fades true, like tone on tone as well. So do you all do shadow bases at all? Or like a root tab? So that seems to be a popular service these days. So one of my favorites, and you could apply this for Calura Permanent and Calura Gloss, even Calura 10, because we all have the same series. If you do half neutral, and what levels do you all pretty much do your shadow bases on? Would you say like 6, 7-ish?
Yeah, I do more base break. I haven't really been doing the shadow root. Yeah.
You know what? You'll love, you could base break with Calura 10. I'll give you all kinds of formulas for that too.
Okay.
And I'll give you formulas for Calura Permanent for the base break. Okay, so let's say in our neutral series, we're gonna do a level 6 neutral. So we'll do half 6 neutral, but then we're gonna go to our 1 or A series, and we're gonna go up a level. So whatever level you did in your neutral, so we did a 6 neutral, we're gonna go up one level in the ash. So we're gonna do a 7-1 or a 7A. The reason being is because we know that ash colors could look a half to a full level darker depending on the hair characteristics. So if we were to do a 6-1 or A with the 6 neutral, it might look closer to a 5. And then if they have blonde hair, they're gonna think their hair looks black, right?
Right.
So but I feel that the half neutral and the half -1 or A series is amazing. It's kind of a formula that fits everybody. Now, this little page right here, I always like to point out, because we did a little bit of an oopsie when we made our shade selectors. There's actually 2 different series on here, but we forgot. I'm just going to show you this. This top one, 11AA, that's one series, but this bottom one right here is left out. So what we might want to do is put a little Sharpie marker and put the 18AB, because down.
Put it here right.
Okay, I'll do it for you here. And I'm going to show, we'll show right here. There's this top series, the 11AA, but it looks like this whole page is the 11AA, but it's not. We forgot to mark that there. So what I'm going to do, we're going to do 18AB, so we don't leave that out. So I'll show you all that. All right, I'm going to get that back to you, my friend. Now the 11AA series could be used for a few different things. Now, in the Redken world, I know in shades, AA could be, what is it, like auburn or apricot? Yes. So this is our intense ash. So you'd be in for a rude awakening if you use the 11AA series to neutralize, you know, those blue tones that you don't want to see, but this is actually a darker blue. This is more of a navy blue. So it's further in on the color wheel, whereas the 1 or A series, that's further out, so it's a lighter blue. But would you all agree that when we're trying to cancel out that beautiful shade of orange, not all oranges are created equal, right? Some are lighter, some are darker. So don't be scared of this series. This is actually really great, especially if they have that pumpkin orange, like it's really embedded in their hair. This will completely neutralize it. Also, if you're feeling daring, if you want a little bit more depth, that formula that I just gave you with the half neutral and half 1 or A series, if you need more depth, you could do a little bit of the 11AA series. And then, dare I ask, does anyone ask for a grainy gray formula, like a silver or a gray? This is another series that you could get that smoky gray.
It's a good low light series
It
also.
it kind of puts the pepper back in, yes. It's a good pepper one, whereas the gloss, it comes in a lighter levels, level 8 and 9 in gloss. And if you want more of that, I'm gonna show my age on here, the B. Arthur or Dorothy from the Golden Girls, like that silvery color, that's great in gloss, the later levels.
Well, I was doing a client, I was formulating a low light, and she is silver. The back, she's got a lot of still almost black.
Yeah.
And I was putting it around her face, and I could do that for my shades of Q in my sleeve. But I was trying to create it with this, and I didn't know if I should use the gloss or the AA. Do you have a recommendation?
You could do, this will give you more depth because it's a little bit more opaque.
Mhm.
It might not be a bad thing. Maybe start off with the gloss first
And
to
would you
see.
mix it with a neutral?
Are you
Because it's
covering?
only- Yep, it'll be covering.
How much gray does she have?
That's almost 100%.
Oh yeah, definitely put a neutral in
So a
there.
half and half
You
formula?
could actually, yes, half and half.
Mhm.
You could, I'm gonna take it a step further
Mhm.
because we're not just limited to a neutral. You could actually do the 1/8 AB, which is right below it. This is our third white hair coverage series. It's an ash brown, so it's a blue brown. So this is going to give you, this is actually going to be the coolest white hair coverage series we have to offer in the line. So people are crazy like me that want to be as cool as a cucumber. This line is where it's at.
That's AB.
The 1/8 AB.
That was worth the price of admission right there.
See, there you go. A little aha moment.
So you could
Also,
low light with that straight
100%,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and not have to put any.
You don't even
neutral
have to
in.
do that. Yeah, you
Right.
can just do the 1/8 AB. Another thing, do you all do reds or like violet, like a red violet color? Okay,
Sometimes.
I'm gonna give you a couple little formulas. I know we haven't talked about the red violets yet, but let's say you have somebody, maybe they don't have white hair coverage needs, but maybe they're bless you all.
Thank you.
Maybe they're a lighter level, maybe a level 7, 8, you dare I say a 9, and they want to be like, I call it the vampire red, like the red violet color. A good way for those lighter levels, instead of just putting, like that red violet on, because you can make them have hot roots that way, I like to add a quarter of the 1/8 AB, because it's a blue brown, to the red violet, because that way it kind of pre-fills their blonde hair without, and it will prevent any hot root action. But just put a quarter of it in, because that's all you need. One of my besties, I did that. She never has hot roots, so just saying.
Mhm. And you can use the demi for that too.
Absolutely. Also, do you all do white hair or gray blending?
Very blending.
All right, 2 options for you. You can either use Calura Permanent for 50 to 75% of white hair blending, or you could use Calura Gloss and you could get between 30 to 50%. So in the Calura Permanent world, if you want to like that 50 to 75%, and maybe you have some salon guests, maybe they're, kind of teetering. They're like, I don't know if I want to commit to a permanent color just yet, but I don't want my white hairs to show. They just want more of a blending action, or vice versa. Maybe they want to gradually grow out their white hair, but until it matches up, to their, depending on the length of their hair, maybe they just want it kind of covered until where they don't have to do it anymore. So what I love about making this into a demi, especially for white hair blending, all you're gonna do is do 1 part your white hair coverage series to 1 part your fashion shade. If you're gonna intermix it with the fashion shade, you're gonna use the Demi Effect Lotion. and then you're gonna leave it on for 40 minutes. But it will give you that 50 to 75%.
With the dim light.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an equal part, so this has to be like a neutral or the 100%
It could be one of the,
coverages.
yeah.
Any of the
any of those.
100% coverages, and then the AB,
Yep, absolutely.
and your result will be super cool, pretty much.
Depending on which tonal direction, because the first few that I talked about, they're cooler. The way our swatch books are set up too, just to let you all know, once we get past the neutrals and intense neutrals, because those are the popular series, our swatch book goes from cool to warm. And a lot of people ask, they're like, is Calura or gloss, or the 10-minute color, is it warm or cool? And I always smile because I know what they mean. And ours, it just depends on which series you use. But it goes back to that brown and tan backing and other color lines. That's why people ask if our color line is warm or cool, because in others, if they're neutral, some neutrals are gold, right? And then other neutrals, like their brown backing, might be cooler, it might be a blue or green base, right? So ours, we've got all the options for you. All the options.
This might not be the time to ask, but the cool reds are where we're having an issue with our glosses creating like the equivalent of an RB. We're having a hard time with that. So I need your help with that.
Absolutely. And also remind me when we get to gloss, and Rich, remind me to send this to you. We literally just got this last Friday. We were sent the new comparison chart for Shadesy Cuticle Gloss.
Already have it, and
you already have it?
did I send it to you?
No, not sure.
Okay, yeah,
Can you send it to me?
yeah, I'll do it now, I think, yeah.
It is so awesome because when we first launched it, like Shadesy Q, it's a great brand, but they just launched, they have a million shades and shades.
There's so many.
So we decided, we're like, we need to keep up a little bit more, so we have a new comparison chart on that. But yes, I've got all kinds of tips, because I do a lot of reds and coppers, so I could give you all kinds of tips and tricks on what you're looking for on that.
Oh, I remember Friday, I told one of my other clients that she couldn't make it, but she went to the previous one, the blonde,
Oh, yeah.
Shannon. I said, I have this new chart. She says, I don't really need it anymore. She says, I'm just totally formulating for gloss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so she's 20 years Redken. So
That's
she
awesome.
just denied it.
Loved it.
Yeah.
Love it when that happens.
Yeah.
Now we have, hold on. No, wait, no, this is right. No, it's not. Sorry, friends. All right, we have a 2 or I. Our I stands for iridescent, and this is a blue-violet base. So this is great to add in, if you're doing low lights, if you're doing, trying to knock out any kind of orange or yellow tones, because sometimes people have both. They have that, you're not sure what color it is. One angle it looks orange, another angle it looks gold. So this one will knock out what I call the chicken fat.
Where are you now?
Oh, 2 or I. And this is our iridescent. So think of a pearl color, but I love to add this in, especially if I'm doing a low light, another good low light. If you did, I always like to, because with low lighting, would you all agree, it's hard not to pick up a previous lighting piece, right? So since this is blue violet, if you add, like, maybe you could do a neutral, even a 1/8 AB series to it, like maybe just a quarter of it to your formula, and add this will give you a cooler option for a low light. Because sometimes if we use a neutral for a low light, it could fade warm, and it could be a little bit on the warmer side.
So you would do a 3/4 formula.
You could do,
half.
yep. You could do half and half, but I don't think half and half's necessary. I would do 75% this and then a quarter neutral. Yeah. Our 1,3AG, it's an ash gold, and we know that blue and yellow create green, right? So this is known as our matte series. So in Shades EQ or like in Redken, they're M series. So this would be equivalent to that. This is a darker green. So think of more of that forest green. And whenever, this is ideal for brunettes, right? I wish they had level 1 of this. I have used a level 4 though, and it is pretty smoky, like it's still got the red out, but this is great for like to cancel out or neutralize any red or red-orange tones, right? Or heaven forbid, do you all do vivids or have salon guests with vivids in their hair? I don't know if you all have ever tried utilizing permanent hair color to neutralize vivids, but sometimes, let's be honest, that's a little bit easier than trying to remove it with a color remover, because sometimes it drives it back in. So if you know someone, maybe they did a vivid shade just for funsies, right? And they're over it, they're like, I wanna go back to a normal hair color. The easiest thing to do is to go opposite of the color wheel to neutralize it. So let's say they're pink, they have pink hair. Pink is a really light shade of red, right? So if you take the 1-3 AG series, and this goes up to a level 8, you could do this straight up over top of that vivid and it will completely neutralize it. So fun little fact. Also, since this series goes up to those lighter levels, a 7 and an 8, this is excellent for a shadow base as well. So kind of you can take that neutral, like you're half neutral and half 1-3 AG. If they're pulling more of that red or red-orange, use the 1-3 AG series. But I absolutely adore it. Don't be scared of it. There's some stylists that are like, I don't know, it's green. I don't know if I want to go there, but you can't go wrong with this. It's gorgeous. Then we have R3 or G. Now, RG stands for gold, and it's 100% yellow. When it comes to golds can be tricky when it comes to hair color lines, right? It could be warm, or golds could be either on the warm side or the cool side. Ours is the Goldilocks of golds, not too warm, not too cool, just right. It's more of a muted gold. So if you're looking for like a nice, like a neutral caramel color, this is amazing for that. Especially if they have bases like a level 6 or like a level 5. This is great. I just glaze them all over afterwards. Beautiful. Let me, hold on.
So you glaze them all over, you turn that into a demi? Or
Yeah.
you use 20 volume?
I normally do, if I'm glazing, I do a demi-effect lotion, but if you want it more longevity, you can absolutely do 20 volume with it.
Those swatches they look so dark.
They are, so all of our
It's very
swatches.
off-putting. I'm like, oh my god.
I know, and I tell people all the time, I'm like, please don't think this is what it looks like. And we're like, our swatches are done on white hair, right? But even though the white hair coverage series, I feel like, for example, the 1-8AB, they're not this dark in real life at all.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, they need to adjust that in the book.
I know. I just think with swatches and dealing with synthetic hair, it tends to go a little bit
Because
dark.
with the clients, you have some clients that are very forward. They're like, give me the book.
Yes,
And
yes,
they see that, they're like, oh my god, I don't want that, so.
exactly. Now this one, the 3-1-GA, it's a gold ash as well. So we just talked about the 1-3-AG. And I forgot to mention the 1-3-AG, the forest green, that comes in a green box, okay? Now this one comes in a red box, but the 3-1-GA is more of a high value green since gold is the primary tone of this. So think like a green Granny Smith apple, whereas the 1-3-AG is your dark forest green. So this one kind of gives you that nice cool beige result. So I don't know about how you all feel, but we have options when you're trying to neutralize any of the warmth. So we have 2 blue options. We have a light blue, we have more of a navy blue. We have a blue violet option to get rid of the chicken fat yellow and pumpkin orange. And we have 2 green options to eliminate red tones. Sound good? All right. Now,
What's an example formula of the gold ash?
with the gold, with this one?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm trying to think. You're putting me on the spot
I'm
here.
sorry.
No,
I
you're
was trying to
fine.
use that and I had not been able to make a formula with it yet.
I'm trying to think if I have a picture of on my phone. I don't think I have a picture on my phone on this. Let me think of a celebrity. Can I think of a celebrity and come back
Yes,
to this?
absolutely.
Who this would? have the picture, I can't like put this,
Come back
I'll
to
come
it.
back
Come
to
back
this,
to it.
we'll come back to this one. Our next white hair coverage series, 318 GAB, it's a gold ash brown, but if we break it down, gold and blue create green, right? So this is a green brown, and this is going to give you a cool neutral result. And we have a saying at Oligo Professional, as long as you're not formulating a red or copper, when in doubt, GAB it out. You can't go wrong. This is our #1 selling SKU in Calura Permanent. And I actually like to low light with this. Anywhere from your level 7, 8, or 9 makes for a perfect low light for this. Now down here at the bottom, we have a 3-2 or a GI. That's a gold iridescent or a gold blue violet. This one's gorgeous because gold is the majority of the, it's 50% gold, so, and then 25% blue and 25% violet. So this is going to give you the reflection you need, but go in and cool down the orange and yellow tones that you don't want to see. I'll do adding gold to your formulas in just a little bit. I don't want to steal its thunder, especially when I talk about gloss, but I love having gold in almost all of my formulas. I know that we're taught that gold's the enemy, but actually gold is our best friend. We just, has a bad rap. Remind me when I get to the 8 or B series to tell you a formula for the 3-2 GI. I'll try to remember it. All right, next white hair coverage series. We have a 3-4 or GK. Now our K stands for copper, so it's a K instead of a C. But this is amazing whenever you're formulating reds or coppers, because here's the thing, if they want to be vibrant, like I Love Lucy Copper or Little Mermaid Ariel Red, if we were to use a neutral, and a neutral is not wrong, but you tend to brown it out. This one is going to maintain the vibrancy of it. So, this is a great low light by itself as well. It's more of kind of like a cinnamon color. What else was I going to say about the 3-4 GK? This is one of my faves.
Me too,
Love
the
it.
9 GK.
Oh my goodness,
Beautiful.
it's
All by
so beautiful.
Mhm.
Yes. I
Those are out
love
of stock,
this.
by the way.
What's that?
The 9 GK, we're
Oh.
low in stock.
We got an order in. No, it's coming in today, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yay.
a great, that's my favorite.
I ordered it last week.
This comes in gloss too. We just launched a level 9 and 10 in gloss, and everyone's going bananas over it. I love it. If you want like a softer, like a strawberry blonde, this is another great option as well. Or let's say you want a warmer caramel color. Someone wants, maybe the gold. If you want more like that Snickers caramel, you know what I mean? That's kind of a little bit warmer. I know that's a weird analogy.
I know
But
what you meant.
but this would be a great option for a warmer caramel.
And what would you mix that with? I've been using it straight because of the
Yeah, you can
coverage.
use it. Yeah, you can use it
To
straight.
make it warmer, just drop the level is what you're saying?
You can do
Instead
that.
of- yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I don't think we've mixed GK with anything. We've just
No,
been
we
using
used it by itself.
Yeah, you can use it straight, or let's say like someone wanted to be a copper or a red, you can use one of our copper series or red series with this, and it's just gonna still be vibrant. You don't have to worry about a hot root action either.
Right. There was
Which is
no
great.
hot roots with that. It was beautiful.
Exactly. Now our next series, and you know what, I'm wondering, hold on. I think I need to put this here. Our 3-4, I'm sorry, not 3-4. Actually, no, this was right. Let me do something real quick, my friends. Oh no, where's the coppers? There they are. All right. Pardon me.
This is where we dropped it and picked it up.
No, it's fine.
Sorry.
Don't apologize.
You're
This is your
fix it before
book.
she
You're
gets it.
allowed to put,
We're gonna make sure this one's good for you.
I love it. Yes, that one goes there. And then we've got this. Almost there. 8 ultras. There we go. I'm like, something wasn't right there. Okay. Now, we have a 3.6 GB series. Fun fact about this shade. This was actually a Calura Gloss original. And people who use gloss demanded, this is a true story, they wrote all ago. We had so many stylists across North America write us and say, can you please make the 3.6 GB series in a permanent? So we like to listen at all ago. It doesn't happen overnight all the time, but we do listen to stylists. So this reminds me of a nice, because it's a gold violet, so you got gold as the majority of this. It's 75% gold, and actually I just realized there's not a base breakdown right there.
Right.
But it is 75% gold to 25% violet. So we'll do 75% gold, 25% violet. There you go, my friend. This reminds me of like a nice, like a Sabrina Carpenter, like that golden, like beige blonde hair. But it's not gonna be like too yellow, if that makes sense, because you've got that 25% violet, so if they do have yellow in their hair, it's gonna neutralize it. So it's not like super, super yellow, but it makes it more of that natural looking.
And what about gray coverage?
It does not. It's a fashion shade, so
Okay.
you will have to intermix. A good one to intermix with would be the 318 GAB series, the GAB. When in doubt, GAB it out. Of course, you could add a neutral series to it as well. All right. Now, when it comes to coppers, reds, and violets, they whisper, talk, or scream. So, our 4 or K is our single tone copper. This is going to be whispering, so it's more of a natural looking copper. Whereas the 44KK, that's talking, so you're going to notice your salon guest when they're in the room. The next 2 series, I want you to separate because I've made this mistake before. We have a 45KR that's copper red, but then, oops, I made this mistake. We have a 54RK that's red copper. So, same numbers and letters, just in reverse. Now we do have that 13AG and 31GA, but remember how I said the 13AG series comes in a green box so you can easily identify it? Well, we don't have that for those 2 series that I just mentioned. So I've done that before. I've accidentally grabbed the wrong one. I've grabbed the RK when I wanted to grab the KR, and I had to do a color correction. So I don't want that to happen to you all. So I've learned to separate because sometimes, you know, when we're busy, we're not paying attention, we might grab the wrong one. So that's another tip and trick too. But let me go back. Wait a minute. No. We have a 55RR that's 100% red, which I think all of you are going to appreciate, especially with our reds and coppers, because there's not that brown backing in there. Because have you noticed that when in other color lines, when reds or coppers fade, it fades to that ugly, like that brownish color? It's not going to be like that with this. We have a 5-6 or RV that's red violet, a 6 or V that's violet. Now our single tone violet, I always like to give stylists a heads up. This is more of a violet red, it's a little bit warmer. Whereas on the next page, we have a cooler violet. So you could do 1 or 2 things with a single tone violet. You could add an ash series or a blue neutralizer, which I'll talk about that neutralizer in a minute, to make it that violet you're turning violet, or you could formulate on the next page. 7 or M, RM stands for mahogany, so it's a red, violet, brown. This might be very similar to the, were you talking about the RB? I could tell you how to make it in Calura Gloss. So remind me in Calura Gloss, but in this one, you could do the 7 or M series. And just depending on if you wanted a little bit more red, you could either add the 8 or B. which is our red, our red, orange, blue base. It's also a white hair coverage series. You can add that in there. You can even add our intensifiers. So we'll kind of revisit. We're still gonna revisit that. Now, we have our Luxuriance series. This is going to be screaming hair color. You're going to see your salon guest a mile down the road, so this is going to offer you a nice, rich, and vibrant color. These also come in color-coded boxes. So we have our triple coppers that comes in a copper box. We have our red, violet, so a 556 or RRB that comes in kind of a cherry cola looking box. And then we have a 66BB that comes in a purple box. Now the 66BB has more blue pigment in it, so this is going to be more of your cooler violet, more of that jewel tone violet. Now before I go on, I always like to state this here, but I'm going to show you where you can find this after I say it. In the back of our swatch book, see where it says tip? All right. What I'm about to tell you, you can find this here. All right. It will tell you whenever we're formulating our 44KK, our copper, our red, or any of the Luxuriance series, we need to leave it on the hair for 40 minutes. And I'm going to keep things simple. Let's say we're using 20 volume, and let's say they don't have any white hair coverage, okay? 20 volume could be used for a multitude of things. Tone-on-tone deposit is a 30-minute processing time. But whenever we're using the Luxuriance or the intense copper or the intense red, we add 10 more minutes and leave it on for 40 minutes. The reason being is we're ammonia-free and we're dealing with double and triple dye loads of reds, coppers, and violets. And it just takes a little bit longer for those color molecules to fully develop. Now, I'm one of those, I forget that rule myself, and every time I do it, I'm like, dang it, if I only would have left it on for, an additional 10 minutes, because I know 10 minutes in the hairstylist world isn't a lot. 10 minutes kind of feels like an hour sometimes, right? But it would have really been popping. So I always like to suggest that even if you use the demi-effect lotion or the 10 volume with it, leave it on for 40 minutes. Okay.
What's the suggested gray coverage time?
Gray coverage, 45 minutes. Actually, gray coverage could be between 40 to 45, depending on the resistance.
Interesting. I've been doing 35. We need to bump it up.
That's about what I do.
But
Not with this
Very
one.
successful with 35. But
I'll tell you a little fun fact about that. So before we redid our shade selectors, when we first launched Calura Permanent, 20 volume for white hair coverage was going to be between 30 to 45 minutes. And here's what happened. Us as stylists, we see that 30-minute mark, we're like, we're going to do that for everybody. But it was really 30 minutes for finer hair, because finer hair tends to take color more quickly. I feel like medium hair, too, like medium texture, you could probably get away with that 30 to 35 minute mark, but coarse and resistant, always 45 minutes, okay? But here's the thing, we changed it for 40 to 45 minutes because people were leaving it on like all hair types for 30 minutes and then they weren't getting the results that they wanted. So this is what I tell all stylists. I'm not going to sit here, Heather, the oligo police isn't going to come in and be like, you left it on for 35 minutes, you're being arrested. Like, if it works for you, continue to do it, because we all like to break the rules, right? So if it works, continue to do so. Sound good?
well, now it makes sense because if it is super coarse and resistant, I always up the time just because that means it.
Perfect. Now, our next white hair coverage series, our sixth one, is our 8 or B. Now, this one's important. RB stands for brown. It's a red, orange, blue base. So B could stand for a multitude of things in other lines, like blue or beige. So this is another series you'd be in for a rude awakening if you thought it was like a blue or a beige. But this one I actually love. This reminds me of a rich, warm chocolate series. And let me ask you all, because everywhere, I have the whole like Southeast region. So everywhere I go, it's a little bit different. Are people starting to embrace warmer hair color?
Yes.
Yes, finally.
Right.
Right? I'm like, why are we fighting this?
Right.
You know, and it looks better on people anyway. Now, if I was a lighter version, I'd probably do something richer, but since I'm a level 1, I'm like, I feel like I'd be cool. But love all of these, and I know what I was going to tell you, a color formula. This reminds me of like, if you want like a cooler blonde, but it's kind of, okay, I don't want to contradict myself. It's more of a beige blonde result. If you do a 10-8 or a B, and I'll show you what it looks like. It just remind me to show you a picture. Because I have it on my phone, what it looks like. And you can do either a level 9 or 10-3-2 or GI. It is absolutely stunning. So I think you
On
will.
what level are you putting that on?
It just depends on how much white hair they have, and what their natural level
7
is.
or 8.
You could do like a 7 or an 8
That would be-
natural.
yeah. No darker.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, because you'll be pulling a lot more. Now, something too to be mindful about, because we make mistakes, and I try not to freak out anymore when a color mishap happens, because I'm like, it's a learning experience, right? If we, sometimes it's happy mistakes.
We call it prayer hair.
There we go, prayer hair. I love it. I love that. I'm going to use that. I'm going to give you credit for it,
Because we go
though.
in the back room and say, dear Lord, please let this come out good. Yeah, pray to the hair gods.
I remember at one time we were doing like a little show for a distributor, and our model was a hair school student, and her hair was overly porous and overly yellow, and we were gonna brown her out a little bit. We did a 10B. Well, without thinking about it, because this is red, orange, blue, and she was yellow. Since this was the primary tone red and yellow create what color?
Mhm.
Oh yeah. So she turned like kind of like a orangey pink, like a salmon pink color. So y'all better believe I never made that mistake again. So clear, and I'm gonna, I don't want to steal its thunder right now, but I'm like, ever since then, I'm adding clear to almost all of my toning formulas, especially if they're porous. So I don't have to worry about it overtoning. But it's good to know just because of different tonal directions. Now, our last white hair coverage series, our 8 Ultra. This is a unique series. The 8 Ultra series, there's a rule for it. This is for people who have natural levels 4 through 8 or like 4 through 7 or 8 that have, here's the
Say that
rule.
again?
Oh, people who are natural levels 4 through 8 that have, here's the rule part, they have to have a minimum of 30% white hair all the way up to 100%. So now someone, and I'm sure you all probably have this, salon guests are a natural level 4 that want to be a level 8, right? And they have white hair coverage needs. So now you could get this with the 8 Ultra. You could, someone that's a natural level 4 that has white hair coverage needs could get 4 levels of lift and 100% white hair coverage, in one step. Now, with that being said, there's only 4 series to choose from. We have our 8 Ultra Neutral, our 8 Ultra 1, 2, or AI, that's a blue violet, an 8 Ultra GB, that's gold violet, and an 8 Ultra G, or 3 or G, that's gold, okay? Now, before I go any further, starting on the 8 Ultra swatch page, and all the rest of the swatch pages, there's a nice little chart on the back, and I'll pass this around in just a moment for y'all to take a look at. But this will tell you who it's for, which developer to use, and the processing time. So if they're between a level 6, 7, or have 100% white hair, we're going to use 30 volume. And if they are a darker level, 4 or 5, we're going to use 40 volume. And I already see some millstones. You're like, well, that's not. But you have to remember, if we're taking someone from a level 4 to a level 8, we're going to need that lift, right? Now, you can intermix the 8 Ultra series with any of the Calura Permanent fashion shades, okay? Now, could you technically intermix it with a white hair coverage series? Yes, but this is a white hair coverage series, so you're kind of defeating the point. This series also gives you an 8.5 result. Does that make sense when I say an 8.5? So it's kind of between like an 8 and a level 9. It's like in the middle there. So with that being said, I was going to say 8.5 result. It's going to be a little bit, it's a lighter, brighter level 8 than the traditional level 8s in Calura Permanent. So if you feel that Calura Permanent's a
In a
little
white hair?
on white hair, yeah.
So is that the only difference between the 8U neutral and the 8N?
Well, this one will give you up to 4 luck because you're going to have to use a higher developer. So it is designed for levels 4 through 8 that have between 30 to 100%.
Okay.
So, but there's only 4 shades to choose from. I would highly recommend though to formulate accordingly, just depending on your salon guest needs. So if they're cooler, they want a cooler option, I would go for that 8U AI or 1-2 AI.
And you don't need to mix it with a neutral because it's 100%.
Exactly, this is
red.
100%, yeah.
So we haven't mixed it with neutral, we don't have to. We've been using it a lot, but I've also been balancing it with a neutral, not realizing that it's 100%.
Yeah, and this has an 8U neutral in it, so if you all want a neutral, this would be it. Now, I'm going to take this a step further. Let's say you all want a level 9 result and 100% white hair coverage. You want that lighter level 9. Now, here's the rule for this. They have to be between a level 6 or 7 and have between 30 to 100% white hair. But all we're going to do, and I know we haven't talked about it yet, we're going to do 75% your 8 Ultra series to 25% your blonding cream. And I'm going to talk about the blonding cream in just a little bit. But that's going to give you a level 9 result. But that's on the back of this chart here.
Okay, and not clear.
And not clear.
Okay.
So I love that you said that though, because clear, think of clear as a diluter and blonding cream as a booster. It's going to brighten and lighten, and clear just dilutes. I hope that makes sense anyway. Now, where are you going next? Okay.
Because in some brands, clear is a booster.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I think. I mean, I know some brands, when they say clear, it's mainly more ammonia. But It's like
Gotcha.
ammonia booster.
Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. So this would be, I'm trying to think, I know there's another brand out there, they call it a booster as well, like a 00 series, and you just add it in to give it an additional level of lift. Who in here does high lift? I'm surprised. This is a lot.
I'm waiting for the moment.
Okay, so I usually joke and say when it comes to the swatch page, stylists either love or hate high lift. There's no in between. And the reason why they hate high lift is because they're expecting Marilyn Monroe blonde and then get Big Bird yellow and you're like, nope, I'm not going to use it. I'm just going to pre-lighten and tone.
That you don't get it. Remember what we did with Linda's? We had some high lift blondes and I did not formulate light enough and I had to pull it out of her hair.
Oh no.
But it was fine. She loved it when we were finished, but it
It was a learning
there's a lot of pigment
experience.
in there.
Ah, that was a happy mistake, right?
Mhm.
Happy mistake. So first things first with the high lift, they do need to be a natural level 6 or higher. If they're on that cusp of a level 5 or darker, they're always going to pull that beautiful orangutan orange, no matter what. That's what I call it anyway. But with that being said, another thing with this, with Calura Permanent, it's equal parts 1-to-1, except for the Pure Blonde series, which is our high lift. It's a 1-to-2 mixing ratio. And it even says that on here. And a good way, because since this is our 12 series, if we put like a little colon in between the 12, 1-to-2, or not the in between the 12, I'm sorry, a colon in between the 1 and the 2, it would give you the 1-to-2 mixing ratio. So 1 part color to 2 parts, you can either use 30 volume for 45 minutes or 40 volume for 50 to 60 minutes, okay? Now, this will not cover white hair. This will blend up to 30% white hair, which might not be a bad thing. I think it kind of looks, it actually looks blended in. Even if they had more white hair, it just blends it in. But anytime you're doing white hair blending with the high lift, here's, and this is also, there's a little information back here. What was I gonna say? We're gonna add the 12-3-1 or GA to the formula. The reason being is this is the only one that has gold in it. Everything else is ash or ash violet type deal. Gold will pre-pigmentize the white hair, and that's what's going to make it look blended. Now, something all of you will love. On the back of here, there's a little chart, and it will show you whatever their natural level is, what kind of result you're going to get, whether it's a warm beige, a cool beige, or an ash. So for example, if we were to do the 12-1 or A, excuse me, that's 100% blue, right? So on a natural level 6, you're going to get a cool beige result. On a level 7, you're going to get an ash result. But it's blank on the level 8. Can anyone tell me why it's blank on a level 8? Or what that might mean?
Because you use 20, you can use a 20 volume on the double 20 on the level 8.
Close. I like where you're going with that. What's the underlying pigment at the level 8? What's the color we're scared of?
Is it gold?
Yes. So, and then this is a blue base, so yellow and blue create green. And let's just face it, blondes, most blondes don't want to have green hair unless they're getting a vivid, right? Or they're celebrating Christmas or St. Patrick's Day. So, if it's blank on here, that just means that that one of these is not recommended on that level. So I go by this chart all the time whenever I do high lift. Amazing. I do highly recommend adding the blonding cream to it to give it an additional lift. And also, I know I haven't talked about this, but it's up in 2 more pages. The 016 or AV neutralizer is also a great additive to add to this. Okay. This is I'm like, also, and there's more. I don't know if you all are hearing this from your salon guests, but I'm starting to see a lot more salon guests ask not to use lightener on hair.
I use the highlight.
Yes, they would rather have high lift. And you have to think too, I think this is pretty amazing that Calura Permanent has a high lift that's ammonia-free, because in other color lines, high lift has a higher amount of ammonia, and this is 0 ammonia. You are using a higher developer.
99% of our clients have color already, and color doesn't have color, so
Right.
we have no choice.
Right.
Yes.
I can only use that if it's virgin hair and nobody walks in and goes virgin.
Correct. I will say this. Now, this is designed for off scalp. I'm going to go off-roading for a second. You all have black light, or has anyone tried black light? All right. In the black light line, that's our lighteners. We have a color line called Power Shades. There's only 4 colors in a clear to choose from. So what you just said, you know how we say color doesn't lift color? This breaks all the rules. This is for natural and color treated levels 3 through 7. It's designed for off scalp though, but it will give you up to 4 to 5 levels of lift and deposit tonality in one step.
You need to share that with us before you leave.
Yes, yes, I'll pull it up and show you all what it looks like. There's 2 blonde shades. There's a cool and a warm,
Do I
like a
have that?
beige.
I
And
don't
is
think
that high
so.
lift or that's a lightener?
It's kind of like a high lift for natural and color treated levels. There's 2 blonde shades. There's a copper gold, and then there's an intense red.
I think it's
And it will
it's the
lighten.
PB
It'll give you 4 to
series.
5 levels.
So
of
they
lift
come in
and
tubes.
deposit tonality.
Yeah, we don't have that.
Even previously.
We only have
Colored
the
hair.
one and the regular.
Okay.
Mm.
I didn't know that was an option out there.
Yes.
That's cool.
It will save time. Just be mindful. And I hate, being recorded, but, I like to tell people how to utilize things. So it is designed, Power Shades are designed for off scalp only. Are people going to try it on scalp? Yes, they are. If you try it on scalp, go with a lower developer like a 10 or 20. But that could be an option too if you do try it on scalp. We have done it before in the past for hair shows when we didn't have Calura Permanent or Calura Gloss, and we used a lower developer on scalp and a higher developer off scalp. Turned out gorgeous. But just be mindful, it does have ammonia in it, and people could be sensitive if you do try it on scalp.
Just keep in mind, any of your people will not watch this video full length to discover anything that you didn't say properly.
I don't know, because I've had some of my coworkers say, I saw you on YouTube, so.
Yeah, but generally they won't watch the whole thing. But
Now, this right here, but watch them fast forward to the part that I'm not supposed to say.
they won't find it. They gotta watch it to find it.
There you go. Our Pastel series, these come in a pretty and pink tube and box. This is designed for pre-lighten levels 9 and 10. So there's no level in this. The P stands for pastel. There's only tonality. But here's what I'm going to tell you all. The hair does not look like these swatches. I know these swatches look a little scary. You're like, oh, when would I use these? So I've decided to give them celebrity names so that way we can put a celebrity with a toner. The P1, this looks kind of a silvery color. In real life, it's not like this. By itself, it's a nice Elsa icy blonde. But let's say you wanted this silvery gray. We're just going to add 2 grams or a pea size of 1-1 or 1A, which is on my mid-links and ends, and that's what's going to give you that silvery gray color. P12 is a blue violet. This is Gwen Stefani. This is that platinum blonde. We have P32, that's a gold blue violet. This is, it could be 2 people. This could be Jessica Simpson, or it could be Sabrina Carpenter. Like a nice, sunny blonde with a hint of coolness to it. Then you have a P82 that's a brown blue violet, and this is Jennifer Aniston. This is that nice caramel blonde.
Yeah, those swatches are nothing like.
I know, they look, you're like, when would I ever use these, right? But it
And
doesn't
why
look
would
like
we use
this.
those over a gloss to do the same exact?
This one, you don't have to worry about adding depth. So if you didn't want to add a level to it, this is just toning out. Because at the lighter levels, 9 and 10, because we're dealing with pale yellow and very pale yellow, this is just going to give them more of that lighter look without adding too much dimension.
Because I have noticed that the glosses run pretty pigmented.
Yeah, they are big because they're pure tone. Yeah.
They do, very much so. I've lightened 2 levels from my old one.
Oh, wow.
So I'm using a ton of 9s and 10s and with clear.
Gotcha.
So, okay, but we can do the same thing with
Absolutely, 100%.
Because we don't have those.
And that would last longer, correct?
It would last longer. I wish I could
So
get
that's a 1-to-1 ratio.
1-to-1. Yes, ma'am.
1-to-1.
You can add clear if you're worried about it,
And you can add
over
clear.
depositing. Yeah.
Okay. And it would be a 20 volume or 10 volume.
You can do the demi effect or 10 volume with this one.
Okay.
If you wanted to shift it a little bit, could you use a higher developer? If you want to
Probably,
shift,
yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. That's interesting. That will be fun for us to use instead of.
And how long would you process that for?
Oh, 3 to 10 minutes.
Only 3 to 10?
I know. So
I'm glad I asked that.
Calura-
I'm glad you did.
I know. With Calura Gloss as well, and not just with the pastel toners, if you're toning with Calura Permanent, and this roll class for Calura Gloss, our toning is 3 to 10 minutes. And people are like, what? I'm like, I know. So
You didn't tell me that.
I told you about flash
So
tone.
kidding.
I didn't know. I didn't know
Just
that
kidding.
about those colors. So
Yeah.
3 to 10 even for gray coverage?
No, no, not for gray coverage.
Thank you. Just making sure.
Now, you all, this is my favorite page of the book. Do you all ever use additives into your color to customize?
I used to, but I haven't with you guys yet,
Rarely.
so teach us.
I'm going to teach you all the way. I'll tell you the ones to stock up on, what you'll probably use the most of. We have 2 neutralizers. So these 2 up here are 2 neutralizers, 4 intensifiers. We have a clear and a blonding cream. Do you all do a lot of levels 7 through 10? stock up on this. This is our 016 or AB neutralizer, and just to let you all know, we have the same ones in Calura Gloss. With an addition, in Calura Gloss, they actually have a green neutralizer as well. But the 016 AB, because let's face it, we do a lot of lighter levels, add up to a quarter of this into your formula, and it's going to knock out the orange and yellow tone. So I highly recommend, I'm going to keep things simple. Let's say we have someone that might have 50% white hair. All right, so they've got some pepper in it. If we were to do a 7 neutral, which is the Goldilocks of neutrals, not too warm, not too cool, but if they've got pepper present, could it look warmer? Absolutely. So if you just do a quarter of this into your formula, so do y'all do grams or ounces?
Ounces.
Okay. I know, I do grams too, so well, I'll do both. So let's say we're doing 30 grams or 1 ounce of color. We're going to do 7 grams or a quarter ounce of the 016 or AB into our formula. And then we're going to count that as part of our formula, and we'll do like an ounce and a quarter of developer, or we'll do 37 grams of developer. Sound good? All right. We also have a 011 or AA. That's for levels 2 through 6. So you can add up to a quarter of this into your formula to neutralize any unwanted orange tones. Or you remember how I said that our single tone violet was more on the violet red side? If you add just a quarter of this into your formula, it will make it that violet you're turning violet. But please be careful, because I'm going to tell you a quick story. I had a stylist call me up at 9 o'clock at night one time because she accidentally put the 011 or AA into her level 9 formula and turned her Salon Guest Smurf blue.
Oh.
Blue is a powerful color, my friends. It's very difficult to get it out of the hair. So just keep that in mind if that happens. So the dark blue one, yeah.
We will not be stocking up on that one.
Yeah.
I would say the 016 AB,
Yeah,
a
for
lot
sure.
of people, because there's so many, other options too, or series that you could use, like the AG series or the 11AA. It has a little bit more depth to it, but now the gold I love. I know you all are going to think I'm crazy, but especially in gloss. But this gold I like to add, if I want to make my reds or coppers brighter, I add a quarter gold. Because a lot of times when our salon guest says, I want to be a bright red or copper, we tend to go to the red or the copper mixers. But we're not doing anything. We're adding orange to orange and red to red, right? So to make your reds or coppers brighter, add a quarter gold to your formula. You could even, dare I say, on your darker levels, do you all ever do a shine and hydration treatment with clear? Well, instead of doing clear, levels 1 through 4, maybe a 5, if you take this straight, the 0GG with your Demi-Effect lotion and just put it all over on damp hair, this is going to give you the same effect as a clear, but also make it look lighter and brighter. Because let's face it, brunettes, we could look a little bit dull or shoe polishy, right? And so by adding this gold all over, it just really gives reflection.
And how long do you leave that on?
You can leave that on, for like 10 to up to 20 minutes if you want it to.
So wait, I just want to make sure how you're using it. So you add a quarter ounce to the formula, or this is separate by itself?
Oh, it's by itself. Oh, now if you're doing it to make your reds or coppers brighter, you add a quarter ounce to it to your formula.
Okay.
But if you want to use it as a glaze all over your brunettes, you would do equal parts. You would do 1 part the 0GG to your Demi-Effect lotion or 10 volume, and then you can leave it on for up to 20 minutes.
Okay.
Now, I love to refresh my coppers and reds with the copper and red intensifiers, opposed to, let me just go here, because
I'm sorry, could you say that again, what colors you would use to
levels 1 through 4.
1 through 4 as a refresh?
Yeah, like to
Gold.
brighten, like all
Brighten it
over to like a clear treatment,
Okay.
use the gold. Maybe a 5 too.
Level 1 to 5, okay.
Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I was like, wait a minute. Let's say the first time I am coloring someone a copper, and we'll just say we're doing a 7KK or a 744. I would do 2 formulas, one for the new growth, one for the mids and ends. So let's say you all are gonna find, especially with our reds and coppers, they're in it to win it. You're not gonna have to refresh every single time. Now, with that being said, let's say it's time to refresh. I would do the 744 or KK for the new growth. And then I'd make up a fresh batch of the copper intensifier. You can use either the demi effect or 10 volume, equal parts, and let that process for 20 minutes. Or for longevity, if they're in it to win it for the long haul, you can use 20 volume for 30 minutes on the mids and ends. The reason why I do this is because let's say I was to put that 744 or 7KK on the mids and ends. Well, let's face it, our middlings and ends, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, our mids and ends are lived in. It's been through some things, right? It's a little bit more porous. So this could make our mids and ends look darker and our new growth look more of a hot root action. So this will not, this will add more depth where all we need, we still have the level on our mids and ends. We're missing the tonality is what fades out. So that's why I use these 2 guys to refresh. So that's just my opinion. You most definitely could still use that, but just, proceed with caution if they have porosity to their hair. Now, this violet mixer, there's something too with the copper and the red. If you want to customize like a chestnut color, you could take a -8 or B series because it's that red, orange, blue base, or even a neutral, add 1/4 of the copper for a chestnut. If you want to make an auburn, you could take a neutral or the 8 or B series and add a little bit of red. You can even do this with your red brown that you're trying to, or brown, is it BR or? Okay, you can even create that with the additive as well. So that's like, there's so many different options you could create with that. Now, violet, of course you can add that to any violets or, create your own, but I'm gonna tell you something a different way to utilize it. But I have a question for you. Okay.
Look. Sorry, go ahead.
Have you all ever, at a level 6 or 7 red, the day that you do it, it's beautiful. It's Little Mermaid Ariel red, but then when they come back, they brown out, copper out, or gold out. Has that ever happened to you? All right.
Massive fading.
Massive fading. And the reason why that happens, because technically red lives best at a level 5 or darker because the predominant underlying pigment of those levels is red, right? Once we're up to a level 6 and 7, we're dealing with orange and orange yellow. So what you could do is, it's gonna sound crazy. If you take 1/4, but no more than 1/4 of the violet and add that to your level 6 or 7 red, what 2 colors make violet?
Blue and red.
Blue and red. So what's going to happen is we're going to break this down. The blue is going to neutralize orange tones. The red is now going to act as a red underlying pigment to support that level 6 or 7. It will prevent it from fading. And then the violet will neutralize any yellow tones. If you didn't want to do this, another way, I'm trying to look, do you all have the black, white, blue, or violet shampoo and conditioner? Nope. Okay, you all need that in your life. But something outside of the box, if you were to take that blue shampoo or conditioner, sell that to your redheads, but I mean Little Mermaid Ariel red, not copper red. I love Lucy copper. Because what happens is reds tend to brown out, copper out, and gold out. So your darker level, your level 6, sell them the blue shampoo and conditioner. Have them do it once a week for at-home maintenance. The vibrancy of the red's going to live. If they're a level 7, take the violet shampoo and conditioner and have them do it once a week.
Makes sense.
So just saying. The next 2, the blonding cream on the bottom and the clear, stock up on. You're going to utilize them. Clear could be used for a multitude of things, and what I'm about to talk about applies for color gloss as well. Clear, you can add a quarter clear to dilute level and tonality. Also remind me of Calura 10 clear because that just launched. That's a different rule.
Okay, yeah.
So you could dilute, a quarter clear dilutes level and tonality. I like to add this to my toning formulas if they're porous on their mids and ends. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a level in my toner because when we pre-lighten hair, we can only tone for the level we lifted to or tone down. We can't tone up. So, for example, if I pre-lightened someone to a level 8 and I took a level 8 toner, added a quarter clear, guess what? I just now made it a level 9. Nothing's going to happen, and you all are going to call me up and be like, "Girl, your toner didn't take. Your color doesn't work, right?" But so now we're going to take a level 7, add a quarter clear, because we now just diluted it to a level 8, and it's going to do its job. It's going to tone it and also prevent it from over depositing. You can also apply that same rule when you're color balancing or refreshing mid-lengths and ends, because again, our mids and ends are a little bit more on the porous side, and it just prevents it from over depositing too dark. You could also use clear for a shine and hydration treatment. I would just be mindful if you're going to use, I mainly use Calura Gloss Clear for a shine and hydration treatment, just because there's zero lift in Calura Gloss. On finer hair, you could get a little lifting and shifting, but that might not be a bad thing because maybe you want to kind of shift things around a little bit, right? Then you can use the clear for that. Now, the blonding cream, and just to let you all know, at the back of here, there's all kinds of charts and directions. And actually, we have 2 different languages too. So if anyone speaks French, we have it in French. I speak redneck French, but we have blonding cream. Blonding cream could be used in any level 6 through 10, or our high lift, our 12 series, our pure blonde series. I already know what the answer is going to be. I'm just going to ask you all because you all are using the Calura Permanent. Do you feel that our levels, I'm going to put 8, 9, and 10 are on the darker side?
100%.
Friends, use the blonding cream. This is
I've
the,
been using the clear.
but is clear working? If clear's working, use that too, because there's 2 different things.
The
So
clear's just diluting, the blonding cream will brighten.
it will brighten it,
So I need
yes.
to use the blonding cream.
Yes.
Okay.
But with that being said, when I say the word bright, what comes to mind when
Brassy.
okay, so formulate accordingly. So that might mean maybe adding in a neutralizer. I like the neutralizers, you all, instead of a series, because sometimes when you add the series in to neutralize, you're adding depth, and it could make your color look a little bit darker. So that's why I like this. This is pure tone. You don't have to worry about adding darkness, the darkness of depth. But you all, this blonding cream is a godsend. It really is. Like, I think.
Give me an example formula that you use often with your blonding.
Okay, 7 neutral. So 7 neutral if it's looking a little bit like, or actually, let me go to an 8 neutral.
Okay.
8 neutral because depending on the color line you're coming from or where your salon guest, if you have a new salon guest coming from a salon down the street or moved from somewhere, our level 8, our traditional level 8, might look a little bit darker. So if you do, say, 1 ounce of 8 neutral to a 1/4 ounce of your blonding cream, boom. You now.
So if it's a 2 ounce formula, you would do 1 3/4?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So the blonding cream is just going to brighten the end series without diluting it.
It just, it gives you lift. So what it does, I'm going to be a little nerdy here. It's going to go in, because it is designed to be used with hair color. So this is something you don't want to use by itself or on pre-lightened hair. Is it going to damage pre-lightened hair? No, but here's what it does. It goes in and breaks up the hair's natural underlying pigment. So if we think of our underlying pigment as an ice block, and then the blonding cream as an ice pick picking away and breaking up those pigments, that's what's creating a brightness. I hope that analogy
That was
makes
a good
sense.
visual.
I know, right? Like,
Yeah.
take that out, Rich. Your people are gonna be like, what?
Yeah.
That girl's crazy.
I leave all the craziness in the video.
There you go. It makes it authentic.
Exactly. Because if I take it out, they're gonna say, what?
What did she say?
What did they take out? Did they take out something good?
Always.
Also, how does the blending cream affect gray coverage if I'm using?
You're
it
still
deep?
good. As long as you have a white hair coverage series to it, you're
At
good to
least
go.
50% of it, okay.
Yep. Now, you could do, depending on how much white hair they have, if they have, say, 25% white hair, here's an easy rule to follow, then 25% of your formula needs to be a white hair coverage series to 75% your fashion shade. But a lot of them, let's be honest, it's like 50 to 100, right? Would you say the majority? So that's when you would do 50% your fashion shade and 50% your white hair coverage series. Now, back here, I like this too. Hold on, I'm just going to celebrate this because I don't think this gets enough recognition. Underlying pigment chart. Even I've been doing hair for 22 years. This, I still refer to it every time I'm formulating because sometimes it just, seeing something visual as being a stylist, this really helps us. Whenever we're formulating, we need to formulate for the level that we're lifting to, right? And this really helps out a lot, and especially if they come in, if they have faded out highlights, you know what I mean? This is really great because sometimes, would you all agree, especially when it comes to levels 8 through 10, sometimes it's hard to recognize what level they are, right? So what I like to do is take these and just kind of, you know, spread it out a little bit so that way I can kind of see exactly what level they are, and this is going to help us formulate better. Now, developers, when it comes to Calura Permanent. We have two that to make a demi. So we talked about the demi effect, that's an 8.5 volume, and then the 10 volume. So you can use both of those for toning, which is 3 to 10 minutes, or deposit only, which is 20 minutes, or white hair blending, that's going to be 40 minutes. But here's where things get froggy. 20 volume. 20 volume could be used for a multitude of things. So think of 20 volume as a modern day 10 and 20 combined on steroids, okay? And I just want to say something real quick. I don't know with the, I don't believe so. The color lines you all are used to using, can you all get white hair coverage with 10 volume? No? Okay.
They fine hair.
On primer, yes. So I was going to say that because there's some color lines out there that have a lot of ammonia in it that you could get away with a 10 volume, and it's because of all the ammonia that's in it. Ours were ammonia-free. So on finer hair, could you get 100% white hair coverage with 10 volume? You might. I'm not going to like guarantee it because it's just one of those hit or miss things. But you know, there's some stylists that will tell me I use 10 volume to cover white hair all the time. But if you try 10 volume to cover white hair and you don't get results, don't do it. Like, don't do it. That's simple. But anyway, with 20 volume, you can use it for tone-on-tone deposit or going darker or color balancing middlings and ends. That's going to be a 30-minute processing time. One level of lift is 35 minutes. 2 levels of lift is 40 minutes, and then our white hair coverage, if they are not coarse or resistant, is going to be between 40 to 45 minutes. But we did discuss earlier that case by case scenario, we might be able to get away with that 30 to 35 minute mark, depending on hair characteristics. Now, I'm about to say something that's going to blow your all's mind. Let's say they have the double whammy. They have coarse and resistant white hair. We're simply going to up our developer to 30 volume. And I know what you all are thinking, 30 volume on the new growth, what? That's going to give them hot roots, right? Not with this, because remember, we're ammonia free, and the higher the developer you use in Calura Permanent, the more the temperature increases to gently, the keyword is gently, open up the cuticle. And if we think of what a coarse and resistant white hair is, it's tight and compact, and sometimes 20 volume doesn't increase enough in temperature to fully open it. So that's when we want to go to 30 volume. Now, if they're truly coarse and resistant, you don't have to worry about adjusting your formula. But I know sometimes it's in our head that we're worried about hot root action. So if you wanted to, you could drop a level. So let's say our formula is going to be a 7 neutral. We could do a 6 neutral, 30 volume, so it'll look like a 7 neutral, if you're worried about the hot reaction. But you shouldn't have any
I have
problem.
found it to be the total opposite of that.
Oh,
And,
really?
Yeah, our 4s and 5s are now 6s and 7s.
So,
And I'm doing the neutral with the 30 volume on the resistant hair, but we have found the 4s to look like a 2 to us.
oh, yeah.
And so we're leveling up instead of down.
Yes, so, well, and depending on the color line you're coming from, I will say this, from Redken's Permanent, now, which
That's what
gloss
I'm
is
comparing.
different, but Redken's Permanent, you may wanna go up a level, maybe 2 levels, depending on the
Same,
tonal
absolutely,
direction.
That's right.
Just because Redken, and I'm gonna throw Matrix in there too, they're American color lines and they have warmer pigments,
Mhm.
whereas even though we're Canadian A, we follow the European scale, which European hair colors in general, like you use Italy, right? So
Yeah.
that tends to be a little bit darker. So you might find Calura in Italy would be like level on
Yeah, it
level.
doesn't come out warm, yeah.
Right, whereas with Redken, you are gonna have to
Yeah,
level up.
We have
Yeah.
that too.
So you might not have to worry about doing anything. You know what well, when I said like the hot root action, you might not have to worry about that because of what you're already doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're good
I
on
think
that.
so.
I think so too. Now you can also get, if you're not doing white hair coverage with 30 volume, you could get 3 levels of lift, and that's also gonna be a 45-minute processing time. Now, our 40 volume can give you 4 to 5 levels of lift. So for 4 levels of lift, it's gonna be 50 minutes. And for 5 levels of lift on natural hair, it's gonna be 60 minutes. And that's usually gonna be with our high lift, or if you use the 8 Ultra series. If you want to base spray, if you don't want to use Calura 10 and Calura Permanent, we recommend any level 10 with 20 volume. I suggest, this is just, and here's a rule too, whenever you're breaking the base, because people either love or hate breaking the base, that's a thing too. And the reason why they hate breaking the base is because it usually pulls way too warm and brassy. So breaking the base, just to let you all know, like if anyone doesn't know what breaking the base is, if you highlighted somebody and like what you left out, like with their natural, with their root color, you're gonna try to get that closest to their highlighted section so that way you don't have that harsh line of demarcation at blowout. It's also a great service if they're in between their highlights and they have a special event, you could break their base. But here's where it could go wrong. It's really for level 7 and higher. If they're a level 6 or lower, we're dealing with too much like orange and orange red, that it's gonna pull brassy no matter what. But I have 2 cooler formulas that I really like. I like the 10-2 or I, that's a blue violet.
The what?
The 10-2 or I. That one's my favorite one for a level 7, just because at a level 7 we're dealing with an orange-yellow underlying pigment, right? So this is going to completely neutralize. Because anytime you break the base, you have to use permanent hair color, and you want to do a level 10 because it gives you the most luminosity. And 20 volume will, because you're only leaving it on, we really prefer 5 to 7 minutes to break the base, but I would go no longer than 10 minutes when you're breaking it.
You can do it on wet hair.
Yeah, you can do it on wet or dry hair. I prefer to do it, like I would take out the foils and then I go back through. Some people, before they rinse out, they'll go in between the foils and they just do it all at once. So it's whatever, there's no right or, all roads lead to Rome.
Breaking the base, only if it's not covering gray, it only needs to stay on 10 to 15
Yep.
minutes.
Yep. Another great option is a 10-1 or the 10A. So that's another great one for breaking the base. And then if you want some warmer results, you could do the 10 neutral. Oh, here's a good example, like a 10-3-1 or GA.
I have used
You could use the 10-3-6 GB. And the 10-8 or B. So you've got options depending on the tonal direction that you want to go to.
Yeah.
Now-
Now my base spray clients want to be warm, they want to be cool, they want.
Exactly. I'm just going to go to the 2 or I series because this only has one level. It's a 9-2 or an I. So let's say you want a level 10. Add 10% clear to that.